Hey guys, how's it going? This is Montague again, and today I wanted I wanted to do a tutorial covering using AngularJS with WordPress, and just the way that I personally set it up, the way I think it's pretty efficient to be set up. There are probably better ways out there, and if you know of some, feel free to post it in the comments, and I always enjoy learning more. But for those of you who aren't quite as comfortable with this yet, this could be a good way for you to start integrating Angular and Ajax into your themes for WordPress. This doesn't rely on any plugins or anything, so this is using just a native WordPress Angular, native WordPress Ajax, and implementing Angular into the theme. Anyway, let's get ahead and I guess I'll show you guys how I've done this. So this is my homepage here. And what I've done is just made a static front page, which is easy enough to do in the WordPress admin panel, and I've used Angular to do an Ajax request to the WordPress backend and pull back the post data, and now I am displaying just this one default post, but it could be more, using AngularJS, and that allows it to be, open to any other manipulation you are able to do with Angular. Now, before we get too far into this tutorial, I just want to explain that I'm going to be assuming a couple of things that you should know before jumping in and trying to do this. One, you should have a relatively good understanding of how WordPress works. I'll try to cover it generally, but I'm just going to assume you know the basics, and how to make a theme, and how to include files, and include JavaScript files using WP and Q and stuff like that. I'm not going to be going over any of that. Also, I'm also going to be assuming that you do know how to use the basics of AngularJS and the HTTP module. Anyway, well, if you're still here, then I guess you know, so awesome. Let's continue. So, we know what we're going to get now. This is our end result. We're not doing anything too flashy, but if you know how to use Angular, you'll be able to go from here very easily. So let's open up my code and let's have a look at how we get this thing going. So I'm using the WordPress roots, like a starter theme. It's basically just any old theme like the rest, except it sets up my file structure in a nice way. But you'll see in the lib here, I have like activation and custom and scripts and all that sort of stuff, like all of this. All of this, if you're not using the roots plugin, can just be done inside of your functions.php. Like it's no different. This is just split up a little bit nicer for me. And then we got our templates, same as always. Anyway, enough messing around. So the first thing I want to go over is setting up Ajax itself to be able to be utilized by WordPress so you can use it. Now I'm going to go into my custom.php here, and like I was saying, any of this sort of stuff here, it can just be done inside your functions.php. And alright, we'll start from the very beginning. The first thing I wanted to do when I set up the Ajax is to go into the head, like right at the very top of your page. This is just like the template that goes in first. You'll probably be able to find it, it's in there. You'll see we have the title, WP head, all that sort of stuff, and just below the title, below the meta name or whatever you use, I've put a script here, and basically just pop in a script tags and then just say var Ajax URL or whatever you want it to be called, and then you want to echo out this function here that's provided to you by WordPress. So they're saying php echo the admin URL admin-ajax.php, and WordPress comes with this, so you don't need anything to get this thing going. Just pop that in there, and then if we go to our let's close them for a second, get rid of some of the bulk. If we go into our source here and have a look into the head, if we scroll down a little bit, you'll see it pops up right here. It says var Ajax URL is equal to HTTP whatever your thing is. I've just set up a virtual host, but it could just be http:/localhost/wp-admin/admin-ajax.php. And this is just going to print this out in a script tag so that you can utilize it in your JavaScript when you need to. and we'll go into more of that a little bit later, but you'll understand shortly, and I'll bring it back up when we get up to the point where we use this. Oh, sorry. So we just pop that in there, and that can be used for later. Now we go over to our functions.php, in my case custom.php file, and we need to set up a couple of functions in order to get Ajax working and get a good response from the server. So the first one I've set up here is enable Ajax functionality. This is just a function I've named myself, and basically this is like a fallback, like this here and this do the exact same thing. And got to be honest with you, I could have removed this before I started the tutorial, but this is just another way of popping it in there. If you put these lines into your functions.php file, it should generally print out this anyway, so you don't really need to bother too much with putting this in your head, but I like to put it in there just so you see two different ways of doing it. Again, so don't worry too much about this one. Basically what we're doing is we're saying WP localized script, which is basically putting your script, your JavaScript, directly into the template instead of adding it into a different file. So we'll go down to the next one, and this is the important one. In order to use Ajax in WordPress, we have these functions here: WP Ajax nopriv and WP Ajax. And after that is followed by a function name. It can be whatever we like. I've just put in test Ajax, and then we repeat it just over here for test Ajax. And basically what we're saying is we're adding two actions to the WP Ajax, and we're saying if you go on one of these, we're going to fire off and take you to this function here, which will handle the Ajax response. And inside here we're just saying set the header to application/JSON, and then all we're doing is saying get all the posts, and then we're going to echo out the posts, and you'll see we're echoing it inside of a JSON encode function. Basically that's just meaning we're going to encode the array, the PHP array that we get, into JSON so that it can be read easily by our AngularJS or any other JavaScript. And then the last and very important thing that we do here is we put down a die, and the reason for that is that if we don't, WordPress will automatically append a 0 to the end of our response, and that could end up messing with some of the stuff we want to do. So the best way to stop that is just to pop a die there. One second, I'm just going to have a quick puff. Hope you guys don't mind me smoking, sorry. Oh, by the way, I just want to apologize in advance. The editing for this tutorial is going to be almost non-existent because my trial for Camtasia has run out, and as such the professionality, I suppose, of this tutorial is going to be dropping considerably. But hopefully we can just ride through that and learn something fun. So here we go, the important thing. So far what we've got is in our head, pop the script in. Just say Ajax URL is that. The next important thing we have is putting in this function here, test Ajax, basically setting our header to JSON, getting whatever we want. In this case it would be the posts. Whoopsies. And then we just JSON encode the array and echo it out and then die. Also remember to add these two actions, WP Ajax nopriv and WP Ajax, and then make sure that the ending part of both of these, as well as the next argument of both of these, correspond to your function. So hopefully we got all that. This one here, in fact, honestly, now that I think about it, just don't worry about this one here, but just know that if you want to use it, you can use this instead of directly putting it into your template itself. Anyway, alright, so next step. The next step we want to do is basically, we've got the backend done now. All we need to do is hook into it with Angular. So, what you're going to need to do is download AngularJS, put it into your assets, JavaScripts, or wherever you want to put it. I've got mine inside my assets, JavaScripts, plugins, Inside here I have an app.js, controllers.js, directives.js, and services.js. And all you need to do is just enqueue them so that they're loaded by WordPress and put into your theme template. Hopefully you know how to do that. If not, just Google it. It's not particularly hard, and it's pretty pretty basic WordPress theme stuff. All you're doing is enqueuing scripts, people. Very easy. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is create a template. This is simple. I've just got a template here called page home, and then inside that, to call that, we got a template custom here. This template custom template comes with WordPress. I'm fairly certain, unless it comes with the root theme. Either way, in order to make this template, just put in some PHP tags, and then in comments put in template name, :, and then whatever you want it to be called. I just called my custom template. Inside that, we are getting the template part, just with using the WordPress function, get template part, template/page -home. So hopefully you know how this little function works. It's just looking in the templates folder and then getting a file that starts with page and then has a dash in it and then home, and that basically goes right where we want it to be, /templates, page home, and in here we have divs with ng-controller with our controller. If you've used Angular before, you should know what this does. It sets our controller scope. And then we have a div with ng-repeat. We're saying post in posts, and then we're putting out the post title and the post content. Inside of our head.php at the very top, you'll see inside the HTML tag, I've put in ng-app is equal to app. And basically, we use that just to set up our module for Angular. So anyway, I think we talked about the backend enough here. And if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments section, and I'll try to explain as best I can. So onwards to AngularJS. So inside our JS folder, inside our plugins, we have app.js. You can call this whatever you want. Just this is going to be where we initialize our app for Angular. We just say var app is equal to angular.module app, and we got no dependencies. Nice and easy. Again, like I'm saying, you should know Angular a little bit before you jump into this. You should know what this does. So let's have our application. We have a controllers.js. Inside here, I've just basically said we're going to create a controller for our app module. We're going to call it home control. And remember, inside our page home, this div here, everything inside of it is controlled by our home controller. Inside of our home controller, we're injecting scope and posts, and basically inside that we're just doing a simple console log letting us know that the home controller has been initialized, and then we're using this service here, a service that we create, and I'll show you in a second, called posts. Inside posts we have a get posts function, and that basically returns us all of the posts that we've created in WordPress. Then we're saying scope.posts is equal to the data that we get back, and then we just console log it out, just so we know that we have it and we can have a look through it inside of our console. Now, the important part is injecting posts. You'll see inside of our services.js, we have a factory for our application called posts, and this is what we are injecting into our controller. Inside of our post factory, we are injecting the HTTP module for Angular. This comes core, so you don't need to download anything and include it. You can use it as soon as you have Angular. You just let the function know that it's using HTTP. Then we are returning a full block, and inside the return block we have a function here. The function is called getPosts. And this is where the magic happens. What we're saying is var response, which is what we're going to be handing back to our controller. We're going to say HTTP, we're going to set the URL. By the way, if you guys, I said I wouldn't explain it, but I suppose I'll go over HTTP just a little bit. HTTP comes with Angular, and it's used for making Ajax requests. So we're going to be using HTTP to ping into our WordPress backend that we've set up in our custom.php file, and then it's going to read through this, and it's going to basically, well, it's not going to read through it, it's going to get this, because we're echoing out the JSON of our posts array. So it's going to read into this function, and it's going to get the response, which is our posts array in JSON format, which is exactly what we want. So, in order to do that, we need to configure this. We've said, alright, so HTTP, we want to Ajax to a URL, and this URL is set to Ajax URL, and this is important. Ajax URL we set inside of our script tag at the top of our head.php, and that's why we did it, so that if anything ever changes, we can always just get the proper admin URL for the Ajax whenever, whatever it may be at the time, we can always get it and set it to Ajax URL. And we pop it in there. And we can access that because they're both going to be on the same template when it all comes back together. Anyway, so that's the URL that we're going to be getting our information from. The method will be get. That's just a simple HTTP verb. You got get, post, etc. If we were like creating posts using Angular, we could use post instead of get, but we're just going to be getting some information. And this is very important. We got to send through some parameters with our request. And we send through a parameter called action. And then for the action parameter, we put through our function name. And so what's saying is action test Ajax. When that hits this page here, it's going to come into here and it's going to say, okay, we want WP Ajax no priv. Basically, no priv just means, I'm not logged in as admin or anything. So it means everybody can see this, which is what we want. We want people to be able to see all of our posts. And then it's going to say, okay, so we hit this, and we're looking for test Ajax. And that's the reason why we've appended this onto the end. So it's going to come in, it's going to hit test Ajax. It's going to say, okay, so we've hit this line here, and this is what we wanted. So where do we go? And this line says, okay, my second parameter is test Ajax. So we're going to jump up here to this function, and we're going to run this test Ajax function. The test Ajax function is then going to echo out our posts array as a response. So back in our services, we say, okay, .then, and .then means, okay, afterwards, what we're going to want to do is return a response. So the response is our JSON encoded PHP array of posts. So we're going to return response.data, and data is just oh, one second. I need to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So response is the object, and inside response is another object called data. And data holds our array of posts. Damn. Okay. And then after all this is done, we just want to say, okay, now we want to return response, which is what we set all of this stuff to be a variable called response. And we return this. And so this is basically all we need inside of our factory. Inside of our controller, we've injected our factory, and now we're saying posts, which is a service, dot get posts, which is the function inside of the service, and then we'll say dot then. So it's going to say post.getPost, and that is going to run all of this, and it's going to return our response to the controller. And then after we get the response with the dot then, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say function data. I'm going to say scope.posts is equal to data. And then just for just for the sake of it, we're going to console log out scope.posts so we know that we've got it. Now inside of here, because we've set a scope variable called scope.posts, we can access that inside of our template easily. If you use, again, I know I'm always repeating myself, but if you've used Angular before, you could probably do this. You're just saying, we're saying div ng repeat, and we're repeating through each item inside scope.posts, and then we're going to put in the post title and the post content. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So, we're going to go to the console here, and we're going to reload the page. And you'll see here, we get home controller initialized, and remember we put that inside of our controller, so we know that home controller is working. And here is the response that we get. So it's an object with an array of objects. So we only have one post, so there's only one object inside this array, which is 0. And inside that, you'll see we have comment count, comment status, post author, post content. So and what we wanted to get was post title. and we wanted to get post content. But let's say, for example, I want to post author. Well, we can see it's right there, and we can use that if we like. There's got to be something better, actually. Let's go with it, post author. So all we need to do here is say p, and then we'd use a double curly brackets, standard inside Angular. We'll say post underscore author, save, reload, and we're good. We've got the ID for the author. Alright guys, well just to conclude, I'll take us through one more time really quickly just so we can get this thing down. Okay, so step 1, in the head, put your script in, make sure you create a variable called Ajax URL that is equivalent to echoing out from PHP the admin URL ajax.php function. Gotcha? Cool. Next we'll go into our functions.php or custom.php, whichever one you're using. We don't worry about any of this shit. Oh, this stuff, sorry. And then we have a function test Ajax. We have our listeners here. The listeners say, okay, whenever we get a ping, we basically forward them onto this function and run this function. Inside of our service, we have get post. We use HTTP. We use the Ajax URL that we set in our head. Get method. Remember, the params are very important. Action test Ajax. That's going to make sure that it hooks up to the proper one down here and then fires the correct function. And then we're going to return the response. In the controller, we set the response to a scope variable, and in the template, we just do whatever we want with that scope variable. The only thing I forgot to cover was make sure that in app.js you make yourself a Angular module, and inside your head, you set it inside the HTML thingy, inside the HTML tag. Alright, I think that's everything, guys. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. I don't know, I've gotten a little bit rusty. I haven't done a tutorial for quite some time. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a message on YouTube, and I will try my best to answer any questions you have as best I can. Alright guys, peace out, and take it easy. And hopefully next time I will have some form of editing software, but I wouldn't count on it. Alright, peace out guys.